which is a really unique resource that we have here, where we're collecting documents to document the history of Chicago artists. And Tim has a huge file in that archive, and has been keeping us up to date with his amazing career. And so we're really excited to have his work on display. So,
well, I mean, I could mention a few things how I started out in Chicago, and maybe then you could just play it by ear and however you want to go with it. I think what's kind of interesting is I came from a family of restorers that worked with, the Rockefellers' homes up in Maine, and all my grandfather and my brothers, my father, and to this date are still working on restoration of a lot of these nostalgic old places off the coast of Maine. And I just went back this last summer and worked on a hotel that was a stone's throw away from Winslow Homer's studio. So it's a real beautiful neck of the woods. And the hotel I was working at ended up, while I was working there in August of 2008, it ended up in the National Geographic Traveler magazine as top hotel in the country. So there's a lot of interesting experiences I've had like that, and I basically, when I came to Chicago in like '79, I was working on some of Frank Lloyd Wright's houses, and specifically I did restoration on houses that were from the Chicago fire era, where what they did was after the fire they ended up having a lot of volunteers come, and in order to keep the progress and take advantage of the volunteers, they canvassed the plaster on all the homes, like the ceilings and the walls. If they just plastered them, they couldn't paint over the plaster right away because the plaster needed to cure. And so their solution, in order to take advantage of the volunteers, was to canvas the ceilings and the walls, and then they could paint immediately. And then it would just take a year for the plaster to cure. But it would still hold together because of the canvas. And but over the years, gravity set in, and the house settled and started alligatoring and buckling on the ceilings in the University of Chicago area, Hyde Park, and all that. And that's what I specialized in, was canvas restoration of a lot of those homes that were restored during the after the Chicago fire. And what that did was introduced me to a lot of those Hyde Park, professors and all. Basically, they found out that I was a painter around 78, 79, and I started getting my work collected from a lot of those professors, the microbiologists that work with Fermi, and Oliver Rampesid, one of the guys that came up with the vaccine for polio, and anthropologists from the Oriental Institute, Charles Mims and Robert Biggs, Kit Sumner, and all those people who were first photographers in the King Tut's tomb after they, broke the wax seal. So a lot of those real interesting people, that were around the circle of Agatha Christie and her second husband, who was an anthropologist, and just one story after another of these different people that I started working for that were real important figures. Even Gustav Holst's family, who were also, I'm pretty sure that he wrote either the planets or the seasons, I can't remember, and worked with some of his relatives that were the name Holst, von Holst. So it became kind of like 2 degrees of separation, where I ended up selling these paintings to people that I was working for in their restoration of their homes. And in that circle, I also started getting collected by Jesse Jackson's family, and that led to a whole nother stage and level of my work, where I got work presented to Nelson Mandela, and got work to Bill Cosby and his family, and a lot of paintings in D.C. on Capitol Hill, a lot of political figures, Hillary Clinton. And so really, my life has been pursuing one day at a time my own journey, my own creativity, and I've been really fortunate to have something really terrific happen pretty much every day. You know, I haven't been negligent. I've just been working on my own work and my own art and keeping it all close. And then that thing happened where I started doing portraits. I started doing images. Like I ran into a lot of real famous people like Mandela and stuff, and I thought, well, you know, instead of getting his autograph, maybe I should get him to paint. So I started doing things where I was getting people to do paintings, and then on a canvas, and then I would do their portrait on top of what they painted, and then it was kind of like having a glorified autograph, that's what introduced me to circles like, I met these people that played with the Beatles, some musicians that were real important during the 60s, 70s. And I did the same thing. A particular guy whose portrait is out here in the show named Joey Marlin. I ended up having him do the background, and he did a bunch of peace signs, and then did a little guitar at the bottom. You'll see it out there in the display case. And then I did a portrait of him on top of that. And as a painter, an artist, I came into that circle. But then what was interesting was my music background and foundation surfaced at that time. It was because I had family an uncle that used to open for Johnny Cash. That was a country singer up in Buxton, Maine. So my father and all my uncles used to play all the time. You know, there was always guitars around. I was playing a 12-string guitar when I was, 8 years old. So when I met this guy that played with the Beatles, Joey Marlin, he's the only existing member from a band called Badfinger, which did songs like "I Can't Live the Wilderness Without You," stuff like that. And so I ended up him hearing some of my music, and then over the years of becoming real good friends, through thick and thin, we ended up first recording a Christmas song together, and that, ever since we made that song, it's come out on a new record every Christmas, which is really fun for me. And then ended up, we made a CD together, and that's what I'm going to be playing at my show on Wednesday at 12:15. I hope you all can make it. That'll be a real nice experience playing with a band there. And I'm going to have my film work also behind me while I play on a theater-sized screen. The theater's beautiful. In case you haven't seen it, I was real impressed with that theater down there. And looks like the kind of thing that Abraham Lincoln was shot in, that kind of era it seems. But it's real brand new that they made it look like it's from the 1800s or something to me.